I think we're live. I believe we're
Nice.
live. So, hello everyone. My name is Paul. Welcome to the Stormkeep live, featuring special night guest star Lavon and Murgunk. He's here too, like he usually is.
I am here too, guys.
Yeah, thank you for having me here, guys. Really
Yeah,
great to be here.
I was really glad to see you did so well at LVO because you and I, we've been playing together for a while now, right? Like 2018, 2019, we would face each other all the time at X Planet Games and other tournaments, and I was
That's
really
correct.
glad. I was really glad to see you do so well at LVO, especially because I had never seen you play Soulblight Gravelords, so I was pretty stoked to see you playing an army I've never seen and see exactly how you did it. And your list was, I didn't think of that list, right? Like 120 zombies, a mega gargant, and then a bunch of support heroes. That's a really cool list. So
Yeah.
we definitely want to get into all that. But yeah, why don't you introduce yourself for anybody from our channel who doesn't know who you are, what you're all about. Feel free.
So my name is Lavon. I'm in a hobby for probably 3-4 years. Yes, I started with Ironjawz, and I was always pretty heavy on destruction. I think we have every model and every possible list from destruction, but suddenly several months ago when 3.0 went out, and probably in autumn when I get back to the hobby, guys, I was like, okay, I fed up with that destruction. It's for me, it's a little bit too one-dimensional. Yeah, people say there's lots of deep strategy and everything, but it was a little bit just okay, go and punch faces, and I thought, okay, I need something, find my thing. So I tried some cities. I tried Daughters of Cain, but nothing was my cup of tea for sure. And then my brother said, well, why you don't play Soulblight? You like vampires, and I said, yeah, why not, right? And he said, well, you know what, you can bring Gargan, by the way, because he's a big fan of Gargans. Yeah. He's actually number one Sons of Behemoth per ITC at the moment.
Sweet.
Nice.
Yeah, and he said, you know what, yeah, try it. When we tried, we played some practice games. I probably, before LVO, I had probably 10 games, not more. And I liked it. Yes, there are lots of cool stuff that I like. It's not that one-dimensional compared to Ironjawz. There's so much stuff with Gravelords, and that I like. There's lots of magic. There is a defense. There's bringing back. They're counterattacking. Everything is there. So it's amazing. And we went to Soulblight. Yeah. So and it works well.
It was really
for me.
cool. I haven't seen a good zombies list until I saw your list. So I was very happy to see that. I was like, wow,
Thank
somebody's
you. Yeah,
running zombies successfully.
hopefully it lasts. So we'll see. Maybe it just was a surprise element, so
yeah,
it should be there for a while.
Maybe not. Maybe it's a good list. I thought it was great. Yeah.
Yeah, Murgunk was texting us the whole time he was at LVO because James and I weren't there. But he was texting us the whole time, and we were like looking at his next matchups, trying to figure out like quick strategies and things like that. And every matchup he got, we're like, do this, then this, then this, then this, and you should have a pretty good chance to win. And we saw your list, and we're like, I don't even know where to start with this. Like, no matter what you do,
how do you deal 120 wounds like this and then deal with the rest of the army?
Yeah,
the thing is, when let's get it when we get to the match with the
we'll get into it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The next slide. Yeah.
First thing, I just wanted to briefly discuss what else was at the top 8 in LVO. So obviously, Murgunk, you were in the top 8, and Lavon, you made it to the top 8 as well, and you guys played each other and knocked each other into the finals. But I just wanted to go over what other lists were in the top 8. The first 5 lists, you guys can talk about your experiences when we get to your individual lists, but I just wanted to mention what else made it, because there's definitely some surprises here, and I think this will lead into a discussion later about where the Age of Sigmar meta seems to be going, which seems to be not entirely unexpected, right? There's some surprises, right? Which is cool. So first off, Russ Tanner made 5-0. I believe he was 5-0, but he was definitely top 8 because I think there were some people who were 4-1 in the top 8, and because of tiebreakers.
Yeah, it came down to battle tactics.
Only I was 4-1.
Yeah,
there was another person who was 4-4, but with minor loss, right?
Yeah, that would do it. So Russ Tanner made it in with Ogre Montrose, but he wasn't running. He's running Blood Gullet. Nobody plays Blood Gullet, right? Everybody plays either one of the Beast Class subfactions, or they play just tons and tons of Gluttons with I forget the name of that subfaction. The other one, the other basic.
Yeah, I know
ogre.
what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was interesting to see him play Blood Gullet, and I think it's just for like the other ones didn't really synergize with his list. It almost came down to like a default pick, as far as I could tell. Although there are some cool combos in here, right? Like Yetis getting a 9-inch pile-in is really sick, right? They still have to pile in from 6, but they can do a 9-inch pile-in with which in second edition wasn't that useful because of how pile-in worked in second edition, but in third edition you just have to end at least as close as you started. So you can just circle around stuff with 9 inches and go in like so many directions. So I can definitely see this list catching people off guard and like stealing objectives out from under you, because the Yetis just run 6 and then they 9-inch or 6-inch pile in, or pile in from 6, and then actually do a 9-inch pile in. So that was an interesting one. Definitely kind of in this theme of like unexpected things that can catch people off guard. And then it still had, 2 Frost Lords on Stonehorns. It had a Huskard. So it was like your typical ogre monster package with some spice.
Actually, yeah, that was actually surprising for me that there was a Thunderstruck. I would never thought that such a strong list would include a Thunder Tusk, because you would assume that it's better go all in with like 3 Stonehorns, right, rather than Thunder Tusk. But I heard that Thunder Tusk had gave lots of headache to his opponents. So, and he's a great guy actually, and we had a small chat, and I'm very happy that that kind of unconventional list made there. I was hoping to get to him in the finals, because I think my list just created to deal with this kind of stuff. But yeah, he won really good players, right? It's not something that he was lucky with the picks, right? He won Reach. I know that Seraphon, who won a couple of GTs last year, and he's very strong Seraphon player. And he was shocked, like how much damage came from Beast Claws, right? So yeah, so it's really interesting list, and it's great that it is in the finals.
Yeah. Thunder Tusks are good, and I think people have been sleeping on them since the book has been released. I'm not an ogre player, right? But when I see there's a mount trait that everything around you fights last, unless if you didn't charge, like to me that says gunline. And I know the ogre gunline isn't very good, but I still feel like there's a list out there: Underguts, 4 Iron Blasters, Thunder Tusk, and a bunch of Lead Belchers, and just castle up. And yeah, you're going to lose to other castles, but it's always seemed good to me. So yeah, it's cool to see an unconventional list like that make the top 8, because I got bored of just seeing Gargants and Daughters of Cain in every single tournament. So I'm really glad stuff like that made it through. Another one was, and I'm probably going to butcher this name. I'm really sorry. Jeevan. See, I was going to say, and then Sign.
Yeah, Sing. Yeah. Okay. Jeevan Noah Singh.
Okay, I'll just let you handle the names from now on. Playing Ironjawz with double Maw Crusher, a lot of pigs, a shaman with Master of Magic, which is, I think this is going to be more common going forward, because the Amulet of Destiny nerf on Maw Crushers has made them less appealing as like super tanky, put all your points and enhancements into one of them. So I think that's going to happen. And then 2 War Chanters to buff up what you need when you need it. So that one is pretty elite. Like it's got 6 units that are moving around the board, and then 3 support units. And Murgunk, you played against this one, right?
Yes. Yeah, his main strategy was basically, like Lavon mentioned, it's like get up and smash. And he has Destroyer on one of them, which reduces his movement by 2, but that's the one he put Fast Un on, so he could double move if he had to, and sort of negate that. Yeah, he's a really good player. I believe that Jeevan's the coach for the AOS America team.
Yeah.
So yeah, correct. It was came down to the wire. I think we both made a couple of mistakes in that game, because it was so close. But this time I learned from my Austin mistake.
You learned from the last GT, when all you have to do is your opponent doesn't roll 5 up boards and you win. It's so simple.
Well, that, and you have to kill the pigs. If you kill the pigs first, he only has 2 Maw Crushers left. He can't win the game very reliably.
We are definitely going to talk about that, because I'm writing up the script for how to counter Ironjawz right now. So we are definitely going to get into that in detail at some point. The next one.
But yeah, I like the list. Yeah. An interesting thing was he wasn't running the teleport spell, which is what most people did. They ran Master of Magic with the teleport spell on the Shaman. He was running the +1 to wound thing, the give things +1 to wound with an 18.
Yeah, Mason Knox in chat mentions that doesn't that give up the Wog, because you need a War Boss or Mighty War, whatever the thing is, the fighty guy. You need him to be your general in order to activate the Wog.
Mega
Does
Boss,
it?
I believe,
I didn't
me-
check.
like Maw Crusher, it gives that, right? The what?
Yeah, as long as you have a boss in your army, I think Maw Crusher gives you a ability to big wall once per
And
game.
it doesn't have to be the general.
It doesn't have to
Okay.
be the general, I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It used to be in old book, I believe.
Yeah. Well, in second edition, I think in general, or I guess first.
Yeah, in
edition.
second edition, I think you might have had to have a
Yeah.
mega boss. I don't think that's necessary anymore. So
Okay. So then there was a Nighthaunt list, which is cool because we're seeing more and more Nighthaunt since the Nagash changes. And I believe we discussed this. He was not playing it that the the hex rates could absorb wounds for Nagash. Is that correct?
Yep. The LVO judges ruled that no bodyguarding allowed for Nagash. He does not get any allegiance abilities.
Okay, I'm glad they made that call. Even if it's one I agree with or don't agree with, it's just good to have it standardized. So that's good. But this looks like, here's Nagash with a spell portal, and he's gonna, revive a bunch of stuff. Bunch of bodies, and your hand of dusting key things. You get the right matchups. This is a 5-0 if you get the right matchups. If you fight against 120 zombies, I don't know how you're gonna do, but
yeah, I believe Nate lost to who we'll talk about soon, but I have a hilarious video of him doing Hand of Dust and basically getting rid of both the phoenixes, the frost phoenixes, with Hand of Dust.
Yeah, but he still ended up, well, we're not going to spoil it.
Yeah. And then James. Yep.
James O'Brien with Hallowed Knights. We saw a lot of Drakes, and we're definitely going to talk about that. There was a lot of Drakes. And the one Drake spam list, let's call it, that made it out, because a lot of them knocked each other out, which was hilarious. I remember seeing the brackets and like all these Drake lists are paired up against each other and they keep filtering. It's like, well, they're the top seed, right? So they're going to face the other Drake spam lists. So so the one that made it through the filter was the Hallowed Knights version, which had Gardas and a Castellan. And this makes them more resilient against other ones. So I don't know if one of his matches on the way up to 5-0 was against another Drake spam list, but if it was, he was really prepared for it. Yeah, because the Castellan puts you on 2-ups. Go ahead.
It was against the Tempest Lords one, the one that runs doesn't go full in on the Drakes. I think it goes Drakes, Longstrikes, and then Gryph-hounds.
Yeah, I think when facing Drakes as Stormcast, you need something to absorb the Unleash Hell, because 4 Drakes unleashing can do so much damage just randomly. You don't know how much damage it's going to do, right? And so if you have some throwaway unit, you just get rid of that chance. Gardas is another way to mitigate it, because the 5-up ward can help against mortals. But yeah, James is a good player. I've seen him do well before, so I knew that he was going to make it. I know before the event even started, the one list you said that you were worried about was like, how do I beat the Gardas Drake list? That's the one you were the most worried about.
Oh yeah, James is a great player. I think he ended up second in ITC after Gavin. And it could, I think, play out both ways depending on like how they ended in the finals. And I believe he finished 5-0 as number 1. So he went to the finals as number 1.
Mm-hmm.
So he demolished all his opponents.
The
Drake's a very strong player and knowledgeable player. Yeah.
The Drake spam list is the kind of list that's going to score very high if it has an easy matchup, right? Like if your list isn't ready to beat specifically that kind of thing, it's going to score really well, really fast. It's going to probably lock you in your deployment turn 1, max score every round. We've seen lists like this throughout all of second edition. Beastclaw Raiders did it in first edition. Second edition, it was dominated by Flesh Eaters, Fire Slayers, Slanesh. They would just lock you in your deployment and max score, and they would always be top seed. So
well, actually, even if you take James' list against Gavin's list, and if they would meet at the final, that would be a completely different game, also, right?
Oh yeah.
So
definitely.
I've thought about that matchup, and it seems I think James's list would be preferred here, because he can just lock all the units that don't go in reserve and deployment, and then he can't deploy enough stuff on the flanks to threaten both sides. You would only have space to put Fulminators on one side and Drakes on the other side. So I think James would be favored, but it comes down to player skill, it comes down to deployment, it comes down to scenario, all kinds of factors. Jeremy, oh god, Murgunk, you want to do this?
Oh, Jeremy Lefebvre.
Because I just saw him on AOS Coach's
We just say Lefebvre. Yeah,
okay.
That's what we've been saying.
Should have met. I'm so bad with names. But he was playing Phoenicium, and I remember we discussed this quite a lot privately. Like, what is this list trying to do? Because if you look at it on the surface level, It has 2 Phoenixes, I think 3 Assassins, a Celestial Arcanum, 3x10 Phoenix Guard, something like that, right? And then like some random stuff, Chariots, Warriors, and it looked like just like kind of a mishmash of like this random player from Warhammer Fantasy brought his old army out to play. That's what it looks like, right? But it's actually a very well tailored list that has a lot of combat tricks because of how assassins deploy. And I'm really glad we managed to do our video on Stormcast as coalition units, because looking at the allegiance abilities kind of makes everything click with this list. No matter what dies, everything else that combat phase has +1/+1, which is very strong, right? That's a very strong ability. You have your teleporting Shadow Warriors to cover objectives, and otherwise everything just moves together as a brick. And like Jeremy described on Coach's stream, he doesn't care what dies. Anything that dies, everything's disposable, right? That's why he even has 2 Phoenixes, because even if you somehow get Hand of Dusted, you still have another Phoenix to activate the command ability, which is what your whole list is all about. So if you guys want more information about that list, AOS Coach did an excellent stream about it. I highly recommend it. I think the list is very interesting. I think it has some issues with its mobility. It kind of has to move together as a single clump, and then it only has like the Shadow Warriors on the outskirts doing things outside of that. But it's really cool. I've never seen a good Phoenician list before now, so I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
And then Gavin, who everybody knows took first overall, with Cities of Sigmar, specifically the Living City, more accurately with 1,200 points of Stormcast and random other garbage units that don't matter. Not really. There is some thought put into it, right? Like
the crossbows are nice. Like having mass fire and honestly, it seems like he might have read Levon's mind about his list, because like, why would you bring 30 Cities of Sigmar crossbowmen otherwise? You know? Yeah,
just having that alternate threat. Like he didn't put all his eggs in the Fulminator Drake basket, which is really good, right? He had this extra thing that he could do if he needed to, and even though it's not optimal to leave them in reserve, because then they can't activate Hold the Line. But it's really not bad. Like if you have to, in order to just get 30 bodies on an edge somewhere, you can still do that. So his list is very well tailored and it's excellent. And obviously Living City's overpowered. I don't think anybody's going to question that. That interaction is insane. It's like before they nerfed translocation after the Stormcast Battletome came out, that's how strong the Living City is. It's so insane.
Well, I believe when you see Gavin's list, I was a little bit surprised about Crossbowman when I first saw his list, because it was pretty popular into 2.0, I believe, or something. Like one point when Age of Cities book came out, lots of people played Free Guild Crossbowman at some point. I believe there was some, but then it was forgotten.
Because it's the Free Guild General gives them the stand and fight thing, which is the +1 to hit and +1 to wound, I think. So it makes them 2s and 2s when they fire.
Yeah, they fire like crazy. So if you see, watch this list, it's like the list that a person prepared to come and win the tournament, right? It's just so well tailored. There's nothing like, okay, I just want to put it there, or I wonder how it works. Everything is there, came with thought, and honestly, 80 shots, even on twos, even if there's no rend, good luck for protecting yourself, right?
But this one definitely, if in the right, like it's a lot of drops. It has weaknesses. It's not like a flawless list, right? It has a lot of drops, and I know Gavin, every single game, he didn't face a single battle regiment. And if he does face a battle regiment, he's in for a much harder game, right? Because there's almost nothing really significant on the table if you're leaving your Fulminators in reserve. You can just fight in the middle of the board and screen out where they're going to outflank, and they're pretty much.
Is he a lot of drops? I don't remember if he was. Drops.
He's more than one. And that's what matters, right? Because if somebody plays a 1-drop battle regiment army, or even like a Seraphon really like playing 2-drop right now with double battle regiment, he just won't get to go first ever, and you're giving your opponent that decision. But he didn't play any of those lists, and that turned out really well for him.
I think his list is made to go second and hoping for double turn. I think it's all his strategy and the build is around that. So he wants to go second, hoping for double turn, and if he get it, then it's a game.
Well, yeah, right? Everyone.
Yeah, because the thing is that's the thing. Because the command ability from Living Cities is so strong, it doesn't matter if you let them go first or second. Most people will try to go first, thinking they can like stop the Fulminators, but Fulminators in this list have 20 inches of movement. The Stormdrake Guard have 36 inches of movement. So anything you do, that command ability just completely craps over it.
Yeah, it's really strong. I think the Living City command ability needs to be eroded so Stormcast units can't use it. Otherwise, like this list is going to be everywhere, right? This isn't even like hard to put together like a Be'lakor list. This is like buy 2 boxes of Dracoth, 2 boxes of Drakes, and then cities units.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like obviously he's put some thought into taking crossbowmen, but you could honestly just take anything. You could take Shadow Warriors, you could take handgunners. You'd probably still do okay. You'd still be fine.
I'd say about 90% of this list is the Stormcast units, right? Using that command ability.
Yep.
I think you underestimate the crossbowmen in this list because first of all, the problem here is that you have to target fulminators and dragons. Right, and they have 80 shots every turn, and they have pretty good range, 24. So
yeah, but if they move, they lose one of their shots, I believe, and then they can't also use hold the line. So if they have to be deployed on the table and they have to be stationary. So there's a lot of room to play around that. 24 inches sounds like a lot, but if anybody's played against Cruel Boys, you know that a 24-inch stationary shot is really not that scary. There's just other things that are way scarier than that. Anything that's even 18 inches can just move into range and shoot them first. Crossbows are good.
It's 3s and 2s. Yeah, 3s and 2s. They're sorry, I spoke wrong. Not 2s and 2s, but should be 3s and 2s.
Used to be 2s and 2s before they put a cap on hit rolls. So the crossbows are a good pick. I like it because it splits apart your damage profile, which is a thing 40k players really understand, is making sure you have enough like high volume and then a lot of high AP, high damage weapons, so that in case you're fighting infantry or tanks, you don't want to go all in on one, right? Because if you only have anti-tank guns and you fight Imperial Guard, you're going to have a terrible game. Whereas if you only have anti-infantry guns and you fight against knights, good luck wounding on 5s and 6s, right? So crossbows are like high volume, really good at taking out zombies, as we saw. But yeah, they're good. It's a good list, and kudos to Gavin. I don't want to say that it's because the ability is too strong, that's why he won. He won because he's a good player who put together a good list, who saw a very powerful interaction and capitalized on it. There's nothing wrong or immoral about that, so kudos to him. All right, let's jump into Murgunk. Your list. You took the Nyalana Grande list, which we've been talking about pretty much since October last year when Grandhammers came out. We started devising this list. So if you want to just run us through what changes you made to it, how kind of like in case somebody's never seen it, maybe just talk about the general play style, and then kind of just some highlights and weak points that you found throughout the event.
Right. So the idea with this list is to sort of combine the melee power of Stormcast with deep strikes, sort of in the vein of how old Gabriel Shoreheart used to work. But in this case, your engine is 3 groups of Annihilators and the Lord Imperatant, who lets the Annihilators deep strike 7 inches away. In the meantime, for getting rid of screens or key pieces that the opponent has, you have your normal 6 Vanguard Raptors, the Relictor, so they can get into position for the Holy Command that lets them shoot once per game in the hero phase. The change that I made from my version in Austin was I had a unit of Liberators and Prosecutors, and I removed them for a Knight Judicator. What I was realizing was, after testing against Gargants, locally against a friend, I somehow lacked like the last 3 to 6 damage to get through Gargants, and they always survived, which sucks. So Knight Judicator with the -3 rend, 3 damage shot is really, really good. The ability to give him Mirror Shield also was my anti-tech against other Stormcast lists running Vanguard Raptors, because in that matchup, both of us deploy in the sky, whoever's Raptors come down first probably lose, It's like a game of chicken that you're playing. The Vanguard Raptors, my Knight Judicator is the insurance against Vanguard Raptors, where I am a shooting unit that you can't shoot, so I will probably kill 3 Raptors a turn.
Right, and I bet that comes in handy against all kinds of matchups, right? Like teleporting Seraphon can't shoot you.
Yeah. Daughters of Cain, definitely. Like Daughters of Cain, this guy was killing like 3 bow snakes, 2 to 3 bow snakes every turn.
Yeah, it's funny how we've come on the Mirror Shield. We used to just give it to the Lord Relictor every single time, but now we're realizing like if somebody wants to shoot the Lord Relictor, you're probably going to win the game, right? Like if they're wasting a turn of shooting on that hero, you're going to win because you're going to shoot their shooting.
Yeah, and it also comes in useful if I want to bait all-out defense from someone. Like, obviously against Ironjawz, it doesn't matter because they're just like, oh, okay, triple command ability. Yeah. But like against Gargants, like I did consider it. Like, I'll try to shoot something else with the Knight Judicator, so they trigger like an all-out defense on him. Then I go, okay, I'll shoot the other Gargant with my Vanguard Raptors, and then kill that with my Annihilators later. So that's a sort of bait and switch maneuver that you can do when you have like 2 different shooting units.
Lavon's nodding like he's having war flashbacks.
Oh no, I took off his Vingorian Lord turn one.
Right? Who faced Murgunk in one of the rounds. We're talking about giants. I thought that you probably talked about my brother.
Oh no, your brother was yeah. His brother is like, I can see why he's a good player. He knows how to like use his abilities and know when to trigger like finest hour and things like that. He knows how to position. So I could like, I had a tough time against him. It was like initially I thought like, oh, this isn't going so well, but and turned it around anyway. And then the Knight Incanter, obviously, this is in because I'm not a one drop, so I was afraid of the Tzeentch and tech list like magic lists, and the ability to deny Umbral Spell Portal is really good with the auto dispel scroll. And then 2 units of Aether Wings, just so I can give the Vanguard Raptors +1 to hit in the hero phase, or in Unleash Hell if I have to. Also, they're just like good objective grabbers. They're fast, they're screens, so that's how this list works. It's a Sniper's Nest, and then I drop, like you said, orbital drop Shock Troopers on people.
Yeah, it's super satisfying and aesthetic, and the aesthetic of it I love. I don't know why, but there's something about like when a list feels right, it's more fun to play. And this one definitely feels right. But you look at the stats: 25 models with 75 wounds.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's so bad.
So, by the way, I just realized this. Gryph-hounds actually have 3 wounds. Did you know this?
They used to.
Yes.
I think they have 2 now, right? Didn't we talk about this in the Battletome review? They nerfed Gryph-hounds for some reason.
Yeah, like because I was looking at Gryph-hounds and yeah, they used to have 3 wounds, and it was like, I don't know why that needed a nerf, considering like
they don't have a save.
Okay.
Maybe it was just weird that they're tougher than Aether Wings. I don't know.
I did, however, forget that. So I was still thinking of 2nd edition, where Gryph-hounds only let Justicar units shoot. So I didn't realize you could pick any shooting unit. So technically, like if anyone deep strikes or summons or whatever, I can use my Lord Imperator to shoot as well. I totally forgot about that the whole tournament. Never used it.
That could have come in handy when there were some zombies deep striking onto your objective.
Yeah, when they were summoning, that would have been very handy. But anyway, lesson learned.
So that's definitely the low point, right? Is messing up that rule. What would you say your highest, like your best moment using this list at LVO was?
I really like my match against Jeevan. I really liked the match against, there was a Nurgle player there, and he kept Rodigus off the board, which I thought was a mistake because, the ability to just cancel out Annihilators with the counter charge is pretty huge.
Is that Rodigus or the
but
Glocken?
I guess, oh, sorry, Glocken, my bad. The one that's Blightcreek, the one that's a counter charge or whatever.
Yeah, the 700 point one.
Yeah, the 700 point one. Yeah, he kept that off the board, and to me that was a mistake because I'm like, he knows I have Annihilators. I don't know why you wouldn't just keep that on the board and protect your castle against mortal wounds. But yeah, he did, and then so that was a good match. Lavon's match is actually really, really good. He's a good player. He like capitalized on my mistakes. Yeah, and like I thought his list was really smart. I'm like, wow, it's like the exact counter because I am meant to do damage at very specific points, but I can't just do like mass damage. I can't do like mass dice rolls. I have very high quality damage, but I don't have like a lot of it.
Yeah, lots of Ren 2 damage 3, but it turns out Ren 2 doesn't matter if you have no save. And max 30 damage against 60 zombies isn't very impressive.
Yeah, it means I'm only ever going to do like on average like 24, like 24 damage at a time. And he has so much, that's the one thing I really like, because zombies have a lot of recursion, whether it's healing or recovery, or if they die, then Gorslav brings half of them back. So it's just again and again, it's a good list. Yeah, that's probably the counter to this list. And yes, I was afraid of dragons. I was that's the point I was kicking myself for not getting prosecutors to absorb and unleash hell, because then that matchup becomes a little more favorable. Because I do have, if they try to deep strike dragons, I do have Gryph-hounds with the Night Judicator to help just shoot whatever deep strikes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think many people are gonna, maybe the Tempest Lord variant might deep strike dragons, but everybody else is just gonna run them up the board. They're not gonna bother. What they might do?
Yeah, they have 24 inches movement. They don't care. I know what you're saying.
They might deep strike Gardas. So the Gryph-hounds can actually just deny a flank, because if Gardas sets up, he just gets shot and he dies immediately, right? So he has to deploy more than 12 from the Gryph-hounds, which means he's not the units won't be wholly within 12 when they finish a charge.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, well, they might be, but it's tougher.
Yeah, speaking about that list, right? So when I saw it, and I saw the grand strategy is hold the line, right? And I thought, okay, every time you bring your annihilators and charge me, okay, I lose 20 zombies. 40 zombies will kill 3 annihilators. Then there'll be another unit with 3 annihilators. Okay, he killed 20 more. Okay, 20 will somehow kill 2 more. So
Yeah,
I knew
my
that,
hope was, yeah,
yeah,
you
and I
you
knew,
were always going to get that.
yeah, and I knew like it's either you need to drop your last battle line unit, or you need to hold on the grand strategy, right? Because like everything they came to me, they were dying, and plus the good thing about my allegiance ability, I think one of your annihilators even ran away because I had -1 from Gargant, -1 from zombies to bravery or something. I don't remember
Yes.
if it happened or something.
Yeah, he killed 2 annihilators, and then the last one ran away because he had the Gargant was dead, but the zombies had a -1 around them, and I rolled like a 5, so that killed him.
Mm-hmm.
Killed the
Yeah,
last one.
something like that. And also when you close to 2 units, it's -2, right? So
Yeah.
that was pretty neat too.
Yeah. I think maybe like targeting the Gargant and the Vingorian Lord was a mistake. I think like if I just throw everything into the zombies, like double shoot, annihilator, I could probably wipe out 1 or 2 blocks then. But yeah, I
Then he
think
just
leaving them
revives
for
them,
the
right?
end.
Then he just revives them.
Right, but I had a strategy to where I could cover his like grave sites. I think late game I just ran so thin on units that I was just spread out, so it
Yeah,
left
but I
it more
have
vulnerable.
the point is I have a Gorslav who can
Yeah, who
summon
acts like a grave site. Yeah,
whenever he
basically.
wants, and also if you keep my Gargant alive, then he hits as a truck too, right? So it's
Yeah. It's
for
just
you
it's
was
just
I
way
think
too
it
many
was a
wounds
bad
and too many
matchup,
purposes.
and the
Yeah.
problem also was for you. I think it's too many objectives.
The battle plan. The battle
Yeah,
plan
battle
for front
plan
battle
was
line.
a little bit tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one with 6
Yeah.
objectives, right? This list does not do
Mhm.
well on that battle plan.
Nope.
Not,
And
it's
it's
just
the one
killing
where
your
you can
bodies.
like burn objectives.
Mhm.
Yeah, you burn
So
objectives, then they scale in points every turn.
Yeah, so it was I mean, it's fine. I'm happy with the list. There's some changes I'm considering for my next GT, but overall, yeah, I'd say the list is good. I'm glad with how it performed.
Yeah. And I think some of the changes we talked about was like spreading out the damage profile. So maybe like swapping out one of the Meteoric Grandhammer units with crossbow adjudicators, just because it gives you more volume fire, which would be really useful in case you face, I don't know, 60 skinks, 120 zombies. God knows what else is coming in the meta. So things are changing, right?
I was also thinking of dropping the Knight Incanter. It's good at denying like a key Mystic Shield or something, but overall, she didn't really do much this turn. So
yeah, the score scrolls are only as good as the meta they're in, right? Like we rank that hero really, really highly because just that ability is so strong. But if you're not expecting to face a lot of spells you care about, like this list doesn't care about Hand of Dust, right?
No.
And if you're facing Techless, he's going to autocast on a 12 and you can't unbind it anyway, so what's the point? Maybe it'll stop a Comet's Call, but are your Longstrikes really that threatened? Because you can just leave them in reserve, right? So it's only as useful as the meta, and the meta wasn't really feeling it.
Yep.
It could definitely come back though. Cool. Well, we've talked about this list before, so I don't want to spend too much time of our live stream talking about it. Plus, you're working on a report that you're gonna put up, so there'll be more details if people want them, and people watching the stream, I'm sure, have seen the chat. We have a channel dedicated to talking about this list, and it's quite active, especially because you keep running the list at GTs and creating more conversation about it. All right, so let's jump into Lavon's list, which, like I said, it was so cool the first time I looked at this. I'm like, I don't know where to start picking this thing apart, because most of third edition has been a game defined by, let's say, high saves and low wounds and low body count. But the bodies count as like 5 or 35 models if you're a Gargant. So we've kind of, this is a second edition list. This is not something you typically see in third edition. And I think just the high wound count, people forgot what Age of Sigmar used to be like. It used to be like 200 wounds was pretty normal, right? Like you have a 100 wound list, you're on the low side. So Lavon, run us through this. Specifically, I want to know why you picked Verkos instead of some of the other choices, because it doesn't seem like you're running too heavy on any of the stuff that it really benefits. So I'm wondering what specifically made you pick that subfaction instead of some of the other ones, and when you got the idea to run the Gargant, because you don't see a lot of death mercenary Gargants. So that's a really cool inclusion. I want to pick your brain on that.
Why Vipers? I like first of all the command trait that I have that using a free CP every turn, not even battle round, which is great because that list is super hungry for command points because I always need to keep one for battle shock for my zombies, even though it's 10 bravery, but I'm losing 20, 30 a turn. It's nothing, right? So
Yeah.
I need to keep that. Then I need to keep one spell for +1 attack from Vampire Lord, and so I need lots of command points. So that was really useful for me. Also, rerolling casts is pretty good for Vampire Lords because the spell lore is not bad actually. You would think like okay, nothing special, but it's pretty good and very useful. Third thing, why Vicrys? It's actually because nothing in that particular with this particular list works well. The second option would be probably Legion of Night, but not with these heroes and not. Not, I don't know. It just, I think that the benefit of command trait in Vicrys and rolling the spells is good. Also, I like the artifact that Vicrys has this -1 to spell, like to casting for your opponent once per battle.
Mhm.
So once per battle, whole turn, all the casters are -1, and it really played well for like. Weak casters, like weak casting armies, like even take Ironjawz, I didn't face them, but can you imagine if they're relying on that teleport?
Yeah.
That -1 can really help, or taking Mind Razor with -1.
Yeah, I was going to
To
say,
cast-
Daughters of Cain probably suffers from
Daughters of Cain help a lot. And even if you face very hardcore spellcasters, out of 10, if you look, let's say it helps you with couple of spells, why not?
Yeah.
So that's another reason. So just the options with artifacts and command traits that and rolling the casting rolls for vampires that bought me for Vicrys.
So it was more of a situation of I have this combination of units and these are the bonuses that work best with them. It wasn't like you had okay, because that's the Murgank's list is totally the opposite. It wouldn't work with a different sub faction. You have to have Battle End Grandhammers to make the points work. Whereas with yours, it's like, okay, I've got this idea. I want to play the army in a certain way. Now I'll just pick the things that work best with it.
Yeah. Now what? How I came to the Gargant? It's actually my brother. When he said, okay, I said, I don't know which army to play. I was running Daughters of Cain with Gotrek, which I don't think too competitive, but I was just too lazy to paint rest of the snakes or something, and I was like, I'm not into Daughters of Cain. And I was running Gotrek. Actually, it got me 1 RTT. That's good. Other than that, no huge success. And then he said, well, you know what? Like, and I said, bringing like 2,000 army right now, it's like too much. He said, well, get a Gargant squad of your army. And I was like, actually, yeah, it might work, right? And so I got a Gargant, and Yuri, if you follow our Twitter or something, he posted it there. He completely converted it to zombie Gargant. So he made his face is as a skull, and he has like positioning like that, like zombie, and it's great. You can see bones from him, rotten skin and everything. It's not fully painted unfortunately yet, but yeah, it's in progress. Actually, I think I'm dropping the Gargant, and I have a new list right now. Yeah, and why not? Yeah, because we're going for nationals, and that can't be same War Scrolls in a team.
Now,
and Yuri is bringing Gargants.
Does that War Scroll count because
yes, they specified that you can't.
That's obnoxious.
So,
ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah, so I'm dropping him, so he will use it. So probably you'll see him still that zombie Gargant in play for sure. And also I thought, okay, what I didn't like in my Ironjawz army is if, for example, I misplaced or if my Maw Crusher didn't perform. Sometimes you roll good and you win the games, right? But sometimes you roll bad and your Maw Crusher, like crashed to your opponent's army and he didn't do any damage. Now he's dead. And I need more parts because I think I'm more of a counter-attacking player. I don't have a strategy right away. I try more to adjust to my opponent's play. So I need lots of pieces that if I lose something, I still have something to adjust. If spell doesn't work, no problem. I can adjust. So I need that. I would say, to survive lots of unlucky moments. And so I don't have anything major that I was so unlucky, I lost double turn and that's it, right? Double turn, that's okay, and then I can adjust and play, and it brings me more fun and joy to play because most of my plays, 90% of games, it's like 5 rounds, and all 5 rounds you don't know the results until the end, so it's very tight games. And it brings it's great gameplay, right? Because all the games go amazing. So that's why I chose Soulblight, and I think the book is flexible. You read the book and you really like, do I take that or that or that or that?
Yeah, there's a lot of options.
Everything works. There is no wrong option. As for example, and that what I did like. Sorry, I'm talking too much Daughters of Cain because I just played them, but I think Daughters of Cain super standard army. That like there's only one way, and it's like you play one way, you play Hagnar, or you take another one with teleportation.
Yeah,
and that's it. Actually, there was a player Dayton who brought who actually I lost one game, who brought snakes with spears, and it was amazing list too. And I think he ended up 12. So he performed well. That's very deserving respect, but. 99% Daughters of Cain you see just
15 bow snakes and Marathi,
right?
Yeah.
And here it's like so many options. Even in our community, we have several Soulblights, and everyone runs different lists, and everyone has a different play style, and that's just incredible.
Cool.
Yeah, I played 2 Soulblight players at LVO. You and another guy who was running Blood Knights, and even that was a good
Matt, right? Oh yeah. Oh, you meant in LVO, right?
Yeah.
So and then Gorslav, of course, he more or less must, I would say, because as I mentioned, he's like insurance agent. If something goes wrong, like your gravesites doesn't work, they're blocked, or you don't want to rely on 5+ roll, you need 30 half of your unit right away. He's there, and also. There are small heroes, Vampire Lord and Necromancer. They can be shot really easily. So he's the third hero that can come and help with the battle shock, command points, and etc. etc. Honestly, he didn't have any game in a tournament. Like he was just wasted for the tournament. But again, it's an insurance agent. If something goes wrong, so if I knew how everything would play out in a tournament, I would probably switch them to bats because they're the same points, and probably they would be more. They would have more play only because I already knew my opponents, right? If we just talk about the past, because playing Gavin, I would just block my Gargant from his fulminators or something like that, because they have 40 mil bases. They're pretty large models, right? They can cover lots, and they have 40 movement, I believe. So. Pretty
They're
good.
Fast movers. Yep.
Yeah, Necromancers in this list is a must because you need his spell quite twice. That's what makes zombies really menacing, and they can.
More important than that, I think, is the movement, because you get 6-inch pile twice, so that is 12 inches of extra movement.
6-inch pile, but fight twice if it works with Vampire Lord giving +1 attack, and you were able to pile in. Okay, first time you didn't pile in everyone, but second for sure you will be able to pile in every model that is possible. And then you have a really, really decent mortal wound output. Then we go with Big Drop Fort Kika. 90% of time he works as a trap. He takes basically 1 or 2 battle rounds on him, which gives me time to position myself on the objectives with my zombies, right? If he's not killed, for some reason my opponent decided to kill zombies first, then he hits really hard, and he's the only attacker with Rand. Yeah, with a good rend, and he has a shooting attack, so it helps against Daughters of Cain Marathi too. It was mentioned by one of the comments at our AOSK coach yesterday. Then we have Vampire Lord is very good. I give him a pack alpha, the free CP, and so I'm generating either battle shock immunity or a +1 attack. So and it stacks, right? So it lasts until the next hero phase. So for example, if on your turn you give +1 attack, and then on your opponent's turn you get +1, so zombies are +2 attacks. It's amazing. Also, I forgot to mention about the spell, the Creepify by Necromancer, which helped me a lot when I played Gargants, and it helped me a lot against James, Dragon Hero, because what that spell does, it's -1. I keep forgetting it's either -1.
Is it -1 attack?
It's
-1 attack or -1 to wound.
It's a -1. Oh, sorry, yes. Subtract 1 from wound rolls and from 1 from damage. Can you imagine how devastating it is for a centerpiece hero? You will lock it with a Gargant, -1 to wound, and he does wound really well from the start. And it's not even hit wound. I think -1 to wound is even worse than -1 to hit. And then you have reducing damage too.
Yeah,
corpse card. I really like the corpse card in this list to protect.
It's a spell Decrepify, right? And it's an easy cast. It's 6+, so it's doable.
Yeah.
Then that's my heroes. Then we're going with 60 zombies, 2 units of 60. I don't know, my new list. I'm bringing 60, 40, 20. I want to try that. Because I found myself that many games 60 zombies were enough to deal damage, and this 40-20 would work as a screens or objective grabbers or something like that.
How are you doing that with reinforcement points? Oh no! Wait, no, you're still using. No, never mind.
Yeah.
It's the same amount of reinforcement. And going to Death Rattle Skeletons, they're amazing just for objective grabbing and stealing, as you
that happened against me. So
that's the only point. I keep them there only for that reason. When my opponent forgets, or in the heat of the battle, like you get tired, you move your hero a little bit, and I have this, I don't know, half inch or something to drop them. They work probably 7 out of 10 games. They steal objectives, so that's amazing.
Yeah. Also, they have a really small footprint. I really like that.
Yeah, the 25 mil basis, and also what's good. Usually, people knowing that they keep their heroes on the gravesides or something to hold and maybe fight back. And what's good about the skeletons? Usually, small heroes, they won't be able to deal 10 wounds, right? Even, and skellies are 10 models, right? So even if he kills 10, then on activation, on 4+, I bring you back skeletons too, right? So basically I lost 8, and 4 are coming back. Yeah. So even if there are 2 heroes on the objective, I'm getting 5 skellies, and I still am able to grab that objective. That's great. Then what we have, Vengorian Lord was probably the MVP of my tournament. That's pretty surprising, yes, because what's special about him? First of all, movement. The only thing I would change his spell. I took what's that?
Flaming Weapon.
Flaming Weapon, and I realized he's not damage dealer at all. And this couple of extra wounds, I don't need them. So I changed his spell now to +6 movement, and he became 18-inch movement without run. So he's very mobile now, super tanky model, and the fact that you can combo him with a Gargant, because when he's in combat, he reduces rend by 1 of the unit he's enemy unit where he's in combat. So can you imagine someone hits Gargant with 35 wounds and reducing his rend? So with two rend became 1, it's huge because now Gargant can, with all-out defense, can be saved on 4 pluses, right? Rather than 5 pluses. It's a huge difference. So in this combo, he works just great. Or objective grabber, or just go and hit some unit and hold it for some time because he's tanky.
Yeah. Well, the game is won by movement. We always say that high movement wins this game, right? That's just the case. The only reason you fight stuff is so that you can move into the space it used to have.
That's true. And what else do we have? And Corpse Card, right? The final unit in my army. The only thing I would for sure change Corpse Card to +1 to save to my zombies and +1 to casting. Because -1 to wound, it's only 9 inch, and it helped me against Gargants, and it helped me against dragons because I was just lucky that my Corpse Card was left with 1 wound, and I just removed it from the heat of the battle.
Yeah.
But other than that, it doesn't work too often, and having this +1 to casting, where you really need this double piling for your zombies, and now it's not 6 but 5+. It's
really good.
Huge. And additional save for zombies would work too, especially against no rend shooting. Why not? Or even shooting with 1 rend, you do all out defense and the corpse.
You're saving on 6s.
6 is still, you can save couple, right? Why not?
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure I would change Corpse Card from Bellfire Brazier. I forgot the name of
Lodestone, Unholy Lodestone, I think.
To that one. Yeah. So that would be the changes. Also, quickly, sorry for taking so much time.
Okay.
Removing the Gargant gives so much more options to your game.
What would you consider? What would you in its place?
I spend hours thinking what I would bring more. So you can bring, for example, Vodrai with bats.
Yeah.
Right. So Vodrai would be crit by bat somehow, and you can shoot him. But again, if something doesn't work, you lose so much out of your army right away.
Would you consider Radikar or Wolves?
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Radikar, yeah.
I'm bringing Radikar and I'm bringing Belladama. Belladama is 2-level caster with +1 to cast with a great spell that when she deals these 3 mortal wounds, and if she kills a mortal, for each mortal there is a wolf coming.
Yeah.
And at that enemy unit, and that's great because it's first of all it's 2-wound mortal.
Yeah.
And it can stop enemy shooting or stop any not that strong horde unit from moving. You just put your wolf somewhere on the side so he can pile in with many models, and you stop him at least for 1 turn, which is amazing. So I decided to bring her. And Radikar, he's there just to bring wolf for Belladama because seeing his war scroll, he's very situational. And I don't think he can deal as much damage with just 1 rend. If he was 2 rend, he would be incredible. But for 300 points, you have -1 rend, which can be saved really easily. You can damage Stormcast with -1 rend. So he's there just probably, I don't know, just addition. It helps because now with a White Dwarf, he can fight and zombies can fight right away. Maybe in that combo, there might be some damage, but I don't have high hopes about Radikar at the moment, but we'll see how it performs.
Let me ask you.
And the final thought that came to me 2 days ago, bringing to my list Shackles as an endless spell. That might be very, very helpful. It's in my mind. I don't know how it works, so I have to test it. But my list is not about killing anyone, right? Most of the games, there are same amount of models and units by the end of round 5. But I need just to grab objectives, grab victory points, and if I throw away Shackles and I'm prevented from charges, even by fulminators, at least for 1 turn or something, that helps a lot. And I don't need charges with 6-inch piling. Right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's a nice piece of tech. So I have a couple questions about your list. and if you don't mind walking me through, these might be a little techie, but they've been on my mind for a while. An AOS coach in the chat also asked this. He said he forgot to ask you during the stream. But when I saw your list, I was wondering about your battalion choices, because you went with Warlord to get the extra, it looks like an extra spell enhancement, I think. Yeah, which is
and
cool.
And CP when he needs it.
No, extra artifact, sorry. Extra artifact.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, it was the extra artifact. I wrote spell. That's a typo. But I wanted to know why you chose to also run a battle regiment, because typically what we think here is like, if you're not one drop, you might as well be as many as possible, because you have more information, you get a better deployment, and you get extra value. You could have put your zombies in Hunters of the Heartland, for example, to make them immune to stomp and roar and all kinds of things. So I'm curious about your decision to run a battle regiment here.
Yeah, Hunters would probably be a better option, but I wouldn't be able to do battle regiment. I mean, that I would prefer to get an additional enhancement, but the unit composition that I have, I just can't fit it to another battalion, because
so I will actually. That's what I was saying. I actually was thinking you would put your zombies in the Vanguard battalion, the one that I had my Aether Wings in, because that takes 1 hero and 3 units, and that lets you run 1 unit for free. So when your zombies do the run thing, they can do once per game. One of them can run for free.
Something like that. Probably you're right. My thought was like, I'm 5 drop, and my thought was, okay, if I face some weird lists that are 6, 7, 8 drops, that would be like, not easier win for me, but I would just take second turn and try to double turn or something like that. That was my thought process. But yeah, you're completely right. Maybe it's not the best choice. The new list that I have, it's actually 4 drop, a little bit less, yeah, and I could make it 3 drop, but I decided to get additional enhancement. But you're completely right. There are other options, but I don't know. I just decided to bet on 5 drops and just at least have extra. I would never outdrop guys like Seraphon or something that has 1, 2, 3 drops, and I said, okay, I will just outdrop weird lists and have not easy wins, but at least something that give me an edge to choose at least some out of like 8 games, 2-3 times to choose who goes first.
Yeah, and that can be handy, right? Like if you face a person with 6 drops, that's like the best decision you've ever made, is to take the battle regiment. But it seems like a lot of people are doing 1 drop or 2 drop or like 8+, right? The weird middle ground between all of those is really nebulous. And usually if they're going like the 8 drop route, and obviously we're biased because we all play Stormcast, so we see it from this perspective, but we tend to go high drop because we know we can play first or second. Because we don't care if we go first or second. If my opponent tells us to go first, okay, Thunderbolt volley in your face right away. If you tell us to go second, okay, well, we've got the screens in the way to stop your charges, and then we unleash hell, and then we counterpile in with our fulminators. Like, Stormcast have the tools to survive a first turn alpha, and they have the tools in the same list to go first and do something important too. And they can survive double turns, right? Whereas a lot of other armies don't have those same tools. So I was wondering if that might influence because this is it's a pretty slow melee army, which isn't like, it doesn't give you the most tactical flexibility. You're doing your thing, right? And it's doing it well, but you're limited in terms of tactics, right? It's not like you can, if you're forced to go first, it's not like you can shoot off a key piece, right? And then you're, right? So you're kind of at your opponent's whim. And I think this is one of the reasons your games always go to 5 rounds, is because of your drops in particular, is like you're missing that tactical, it's almost like you're starting behind the 8 ball, and then you're grinding the games out to a win. But I think you could be doing better with more value. Like being immune to rampages is huge. A free run 6 once per game is pretty huge. So I was just wanted to talk about that.
Well, zombies don't need any. Honestly, they don't need command points during combat phase, because save doesn't help them with against high-rank armies. And all-out attack, I will never waste my precious command points for that. Honestly, because every command point, it's so valuable in this list. So I thought about Hunters, but it just
Hunters I think doesn't really matter. I think Vanguard does, because in Vanguard the run command counts as not being issued, so he can issue it to both zombies.
For some reason, maybe I messed up, because it's pretty new list for me, and I still working on it. When I was building it, I just couldn't, for some reason, with the composition of my heroes and everything, I couldn't fit to any other battalion. But maybe I just get it wrong for some reason, and then I just forget about it. So yeah, that was, it's a good question, and maybe it's worth reconsidering again. But now I have new list.
Yeah, new list. My other question here is just about looking at your composition. This is what made it. I think this is what made it so hard for Murgank's Grandhammer focus list, is that your anvils are your hammers, right? Like your zombies are both your anvil and your hammer. And there's other units in the game that fill that role, like Stormdrakes, for example. They can take damage and deal damage. But the difference is that Stormdrakes survive more than a round, whereas what you're trying to do is revive your zombies after they die and then be aggressive with them, which takes turns to activate, right? So have you considered, I know earlier you mentioned that you're thinking about dropping, for example, Gorslav for more bats. I was just thinking that when I first saw your list, I was like, this doesn't have a lot of disposable screens. Right, something that your opponent has to charge, waste a turn fighting, and then use 6-inch pile in with your zombies. Right, and I think that would save you turns, because I think what you might be running into with this is that somebody hits your zombies and they die, and you spend a turn reviving them, and they usually don't make that 9-inch charge if they're even in range to do it.
Okay, we're talking about that specific list from LVO, right? So my zombies here are, like head and shoulders 3-in-1. There are screens, there are hammers, there are elbows, as you say.
Yeah, they're doing everything, which is given how fragile they are, that's not necessarily the best role. And I think maybe putting 3 bats in front of them might help a lot.
That's the mistake that many of my opponents made, that thought that they're very fragile. They're not very fragile.
Okay.
And chewing through 60 zombies. Don't forget, 6 up.
6 up ward save.
6 up, so it's basically 70 zombies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not many units can chew it from in one turn. And if the unit can do that, it should be very expansive point-wise unit. And very elite one, right?
Yeah.
If we take like a horde shooting or something like crossbows or something like that, yes, that counters me and I can do anything. But something like if you take like fulminators or something like that which counters me too, because you saw it in the finals. But if we take that and let's say he killed my unit. Next my turn, I have 60 more zombies and the Gargant on the right. Good luck for your most likely most expensive unit.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right?
They have to expend a lot of points in melee normally to get rid of what isn't a lot of points for him.
Oh, that was a very good question you asked me right now, because I started playing the same, and my strategy during LVO changed so much, and it helped me. Because before I played them defensively, I tried to save them, and I didn't rush forward too much, or I prefer them to keep them actually not there, but under in the graves. Right.
Very
yeah. And then I thought, well, wait a minute. I played several games, and I never had to revive my zombies. So that's not efficient way to do that. I have to throw them, and I have to do my best to make them be killed. Because while they're being killed, they're occupying my opponents or they're dealing damage. If they're killed, then they did good job, and I can revive another 31. Right?
Sure.
If
go ahead.
Yeah. If for example, for some reason, I don't need to revive them by bell run number 5, then I just didn't use them properly. Right? That's my because I have so many models to keep the objectives. I have another 60. I have Skellies. I have heroes. I have Gargant. I have Belgorian Lord. Right. So I just need to throw them, do as much damage as possible. Let's say they are killed in 1 bell run or 2 bell runs, but they still dealt some damage, and then another zombie's coming. Right.
Yeah, I see all that. What I'm getting at though is I think you've already picked up on it, but maybe let me connect the dots here. You said you're running 60-40-20 now going forward. And
now, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I'm trying that.
And I think the reason why you're even considering it is because you have these 2 huge units on the table that are doing something in that specific area that unit is doing, right? But having 3 units gives you more tactical flexibility. Because
That's correct.
What
Yes.
you could be doing even is you could put 20 of those zombies in front of 60. And then if somebody wants to come in and kill 20, then your 60 can pile in as a counter. It gives you more options, and you like having options, right?
That's a good option, but however, don't forget that my plan is to get to the objective as much as possible, and preferably with the 60 zombies. If I have screen in front of me with 4-inch movement, I won't be able to get to that center objective, let's say, right?
But it's an option, right? Like if you're playing
It's
against
an option.
Living City again, that you can put
Yes.
that, like it gives you more options. Whereas this list doesn't have those options. All you have to do that role is your 10 skeletons. Whereas if you have, 60, 40, 20, and then 10 skeletons, you can protect both your 60 and your 40 by putting 20 and 10 in front. If that makes sense. That's a lot of numbers.
You're right. That's why I consider it bad. But don't forget that I have a huge trap in Gargant, right? So having that, I know that no one will shoot 60 zombies having Gargant on my side.
Right.
So I don't need to screen zombies by zombies. I would rather screen Gargant by zombies.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to ask you about that because, one thing we talk about a lot with Stormcast is, you can run Hyper Elite, right? But even if you look at Murgank's list, which is, some of the lowest wound count you'll see in any list, 2,000-point list in the game, it still has to balance the number of screening units because sometimes you face Ironjawz, and they're going to come at you with their whole army turn 1, or sometimes you face Drakes, and there's nothing you can do to stop them from charging everything in their army at you turn 1. So we talk about that a lot, and I wanted to know the perspective from a completely different army. Soulblight Gravelords, I would say, is the opposite of Stormcast, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to know your perspective on it. It's cool, man. So what would you say was your worst moment, and what would you say was your best moment at LVO using this list?
Well, worst moment that probably everyone saw on Honest War Gamers.
Was it when Gavin won the double?
I thought okay, so many games. Every game was just so tight. Every game I played, and that's the problem was too. I was so burned out because all games I had till 5 round, basically final roll. Decided the games. I was so tired, and best moments and the worst moments.
What about those crossbows? Walking right into range of those crossbows.
The worst moment as for my army, it's Gavin list. I still don't know what I could do, and it's not about double turn. I would not still win the game because my zombies would never get his crossbowman. Even if I killed everything, there would be crossbowmen who will still demolish all my zombies. It would be I wouldn't have enough mobility and power to withstand that. And also I have fulminators who can counter me very well. They can demolish Gargant in one turn. They can demolish 60 zombies in one turn, and they can, and also they're one drop, so there's a high chance to get double turn, which will lead to another unit of zombies destroyed. So his list was whatever I would do. I don't think that, yes, there are people saying there was a mistake, but positioning mistake or something, but I even don't know what I would do.
Yeah, realistically, there's nothing. In terms of movement, shooting, just raw damage, I think Gavin's
the only
list
thing
is just...
could help me, the only thing that could help me and what I was relying on, I used my cart on the right, to block his fulminators, so I knew that he would come only from one side, and I put my Vangarian Lord in front of my giant. So if he charges me, at least he's -1 rand, and there's Vangarian Lord who can help me. I don't know. It was probably good rolls too. I was hoping that he won't be able to shoot my Mongolian Lords from his Dragon Breath, right? So
I saw that he rolled really good on the Dragon.
When Mongolian Lord died, then there was no chance for my. If, for example, if that wouldn't happen and he charged me with fulminators, and there would be much greater chance for my Gargant to survive, and then he would fight back. And he could really hurt fulminators. If there is no fulminators in the game from from the early game, then there's much bigger chances. Also, the battle plan was the worst I could probably get because with the Living City, he could come up everywhere.
Yeah.
And the problem is if I move forward, he comes from my rear. If I stay, he shoots me, right? And I had to stretch over all the objectives too. If there was only three objectives on the center, my initial plan was to hold my Vanguard Lord and the giant in the center, and just screen with zombies as much as possible and just move forward. So even if he charged Gargant, it won't be like 4 full minutes right away hitting. It would be just 1 or something like that. But within that battle plan, I had to stretch and
yeah. Well, so you could pick that game apart forever, man. Don't dwell on it, right? It was it was the 8th game in 3 days, right? Like you're tired of playing these long games, so don't stress about it. But best moment.
It was a great moment. It's not was the best in terms of my attitude, because it was one of the best events I've been to, and I was happy with each of the games. There was no bad feelings about any games that I lost. Great moments. Well, actually, really, it was such a great event. Best moments start from the beginning as I landed in Vegas, and everything was so good. I want to point out that the people and environment was so good.
Yeah.
There were no salty players. There were no like some problems or quarrels or something. Like everyone was friendly. Everyone joked. Everyone had a fun. Really enjoyed the moment, even though it's very high competitive tournament. So that's the best moment. Even a win or lose, like it was the great game and great moments. That's what I would point out as a best moment.
Age of Sigmar has the best community of any tabletop game I've experienced, and I don't necessarily know why that is, but I've had like 2 bad games in the 5 years I've been playing. 6 years now. 2 bad games, and that's it. And I was one of the players in that scenario. I was the one who made it a bad game. So like, yeah, this game's phenomenal. The community's just great. So
the community is great, and I want to point out even our Canadian community. Like, I had so many messages, just supporting me. Like my phone was bursting. Like,
yeah.
So great community, and that's the best moment. Like the friends I made there, and I'm pretty sure that I will see these guys in more tournaments next year in LVO, and if everything is good, and whenever they come to Toronto, they will be like the best guests ever, and that's the best moment. I believe so.
Right on, man. That's a great answer.
And of course, one of the best moments where I watched the games that could, the players who could, like kick me off from 8th place, and I saw them losing.
Oh yeah. All the good matchups just beat each other. That's yeah. Right on, man.
So yeah, that's it.
So on that topic, I wanted to move now into a discussion. It doesn't have to be a super long discussion, but I just kind of want to talk about where we see what the meta was at LVO, right? And I think this picture summarizes it pretty well. It was just freaking dragons everywhere, right? This was the first event where people had time to paint and build and start play testing their dragons, and it showed. There was a ton of them, right? People were very upset about it, obviously, because everybody seems to have this idea that dragons are just inherently overpowered, and I think it's I'm not going to make like a wild statement and say they're fine or anything, but like they don't seem to be as overpowered as everybody thinks they are. And I don't think that's because of the point nerf, right? I don't think the point nerf was what makes them good. Like, the point change doesn't change their damage. It doesn't change their mobility. It doesn't change their 3-up save, monster keyword, all their wounds. It just means you have less other things on the table, right? So is this going to be a trend going forward? Do you guys think like every event now is just going to be dominated by Storm Drakes, or is it like are they going to peter out?
No. They're like starlets, like they just came and they will go. Because honestly, there are better stuff in the game. There are more interesting stuff in the game. They look magnificent on the table. Yeah. Can't deny that. And paint jobs were stunning. I can't say that they were dominating meta, honestly, because, well, what do you mean by dominating? Yeah, like every second storm, even Seraphon had two Drake, right? I think it won't last for long. I believe so. And talking about meta, I was surprised how many Stormcasts there were. I knew that there would be a lot of Stormcasts, but it was too much. Probably one of the reasons that I think lots of Lumineth players just switched to Stormcast, and it was like combined amount of Lumineth and Stormcast players playing Stormcast in a tournament. What surprised me that Daughters of Cain and Seraphon that I thought, well, logically you would think that if you leave these three Stormcast players in finals, all others should be Daughters of Cain or Seraphon. And there were none. All right. So you saw Beastclaw, you had said Nighthaunt, and all this.
Do you think
stuff.
the Lumineth and Daughters of Cain players are what you're suggesting is that they're just chasing the flavor of the month, and they went from their double tap snakes and 50 archers, and they're just like, I'm going to play dragons now because they're good. Do you think that that's part of it?
As many Luminous players say, they say that Stormcast is the same, just easier to play. Right?
Yeah.
And
it's not wrong.
It's not wrong, yeah. Stormcast is favored in that matchup too.
Yeah, because they have great saves too, right? But what's on the good side from this whole matter, right? What we saw last year, we had Seraphon, Daughters of Cain, Luminous, Seraphon, Daughters of Cain, Luminous, Seraphon, and it was like, Gargants. Same list all over the place, Now there were so many players, and I think it's a new trend, which I hope will pick up, because now, even if you I would say, like, it was so standardized that people get tired. Now they want to, okay, you know what, I love winning, but I want to bring my character into my army. I want something unique. How we see Beastclaw Riders, how we saw, like, Nighthaunt, how we see, like, Phoenician, right? So I think we have the new trend that people, and that tomorrow's RTT, when I checked the listing, there were like completely unique lists that you would never see before. People are tired. They want to start new year with something new. They want to say, you know what? Yeah, everyone knows this standard list. I want to be me. They should be like, for example, I know Jack's list. And everyone should know me by this. This is my list, Jack's list, right? And everyone tries to bring his flavor now. And I think that would be great. It would be a more interaction, more fun playing rather than just standard games.
I think a lot of people were also just playing with their Christmas gifts, right? Like, I'm sure a lot of people got the Drakes under the tree, and they're like, oh, well, I got them built, I might as well bring them, right? So I tend to agree with you. I think it is let's call it a fad, right? Because they're going to be around, but it's going to get less popular, especially as people refine these lists. I feel like the variants that are going to stick around are either going to be, you're going to run 4 Drakes, or you're going to run all the Drakes. And if you run all the Drakes, there's a few ways to do it, and we'll figure out what the best way to do that is. But I don't see the all Drake list being the meta crusher, the like gatekeeper that Gargants or Daughters of Cain were.
Well, we saw
James, right? Come out, it'll be fine.
James performed really well with all Drakes, and the thing is that if he faced him Gavin on final, like, it was like 50-50 who would win.
Yeah.
Even Gavin told me, like, seeing that you won all my opponents that I was afraid of to face. Thank you very much for that. I said, yeah, and here I am.
Well, luck is as much a part of anything. Good matchups, good dice rolls.
That's correct. Yeah. So no, we will see. We will see Drakes, but I don't think it will be like dominating Drakes again, as we saw sometime with Gargants winning the series of the tournaments, or Luminous winning series of the tournaments, and it was always the same list, always the same stuff, right? Now I think there will be much more differentiated lists, and also with White Dwarf. Now, if you saw the Beastman had a new update, there are so many options right now, and you can find something very unorthodox, and that your opponent is not prepared face, and it can really shine. So it's the best time for the hobby right now, because it's getting more and more different kind of lists, and it's great. It's much better than having just 4 top armies, and and it's getting tiresome.
And the next few battle tomes that are coming out, I think, are really going to shake it up too, right? We've got Fire Slayers, Idoneth, Nighthaunt. Daughters of Cain is getting a revamp, and there's a lot of interesting rumors about some mechanics that people don't like going away. And then the 2 rumored books, which we're pretty sure are Skaven and Sylvaneth. And all of those armies, none of them are like Stormcast. They're not this super durable hyper elite army. None of them are like Gargants, which is like, here's a big monster, can you kill it? Oops, you didn't kill it, so I guess I win. None of them are like that. So that's going to really shake up the meta. I think Idoneth in particular are going to be the biggest change, because fight first, there's nothing in the game that fights first well right now. Right? They got
don't forget that if it stays, right? So we don't know. Honestly, I hate these mechanics. I'll tell you why. It kills your strategy, right? Because the combat phase is something that you have to choose how to fight, where to fight, and in which order to fight. And something that kills the mechanic of the game. I don't like it, right?
Yeah. I don't like it that it's everywhere across the army, because it does your turn. It makes your turn irrelevant, basically.
And it ruins the fun of the game. Even if you take Ironjawz, at least with the smashing and bashing, at least you have to earn it, right? But having that, we just fight first and we don't care. It's like, okay, I'll just watch it.
Yeah, hopefully if they keep that mechanic, it is heavily restricted in some way that gives a lot of counterplay to it. But I'm not totally confident that they'll do that. I feel like if any book coming out for 3rd edition is going to have like a really high, like, ooh, we got to errata this right away, it's going to be the Idoneth, I think.
I think the trend is going to horde armies again, which I'm pretty fond of. And look, first of all, people are surprised how to deal with lots of zombies and lots of wounds, because all the lists were built against killing MSU lists, right? Now, and they weren't prepared to probably face the horde list, first of all. Secondly, we have Nighthaunt. It's a complete horde list. Then we have Daughters of Cain, which most likely, I don't know any rumors.
I think Witch Elves are coming back.
Witch Elves, which is horde, right? Then rumors are for Gloomspite Beats. And don't forget that now we're fighting Gur, right? That benefits monsters a lot. Maybe next realm will benefit horde armies. Who knows, right? But we can see the trend that people are coming back to horde armies. It's like it should be cyclical, right? So people are tired of hordes. They're moving to MSU, then they go to monsters, then again back to horde, and that's great, right?
I like it. The game's going to keep evolving, which is good because we get to keep making videos. So let's talk about what performed well, and then also what was just missing from LVO? So Living City, obviously, it's now obvious to everyone that is paying attention to Age of Sigmar that Living City is insanely strong. And you got to be ready to beat it, right? That's the new thing that if you can't beat Living City, you're not going to win a tournament. I think that we could just say that, right? It doesn't even have to necessarily be specifically 4 Fulminators and 4 Star Drakes like Gavin ran it. As long as it's got the 4 Fulminators, that's a tough list. That's already like a 3-0 at an RTT to just run Living City with 4 Fulminators. So unless they errata it soon, get ready. That's the thing we got to play against now.
I can't believe they haven't done it already. If you're going to nerf translocation movement, then this should have been gone the same day.
Because they errated Nagash and Emerald Host, right? So I thought, let's see if they nerf Living City too. No, still there. So email GW, I guess.
Funny enough, Soulblight does have a good counter to that, though. I think they have one spell that they can cast where the target they choose, if they charge in, they take mortal wounds equal to their charge roll.
Yeah, but that target, it has to be on the table, right?
It should be on the table first.
Yeah.
And it's like charge by Beastflow Riders, but to yourself. Okay, how many, you roll 7, let's say, on average. 7, 8. Okay, 4, and it's on 5 pluses. So you get 3 mortal wounds.
Yeah. It's not
2,
great.
2 maybe. Yeah.
The way I roll 1. Gargants were just bodied out of the meta, right? I think Drakes had such a big impact on what else was good. There's a bunch of lists here that we can talk about. Like Seraphon, Drakes pushed them out of the meta. 4-up Spell Ignore with a 3-up save all the time and Rampages, really strong against Seraphon. Lumineth, same thing. If you can't cast Lambent Light on the unit, you're not killing anything. You're just not. So Lumineth get bodied by Drakes. Legion of the First Prince. can't kill Drakes, right? Because they can just breathe down the Demon Prince, then they don't care about the charge effect anymore. Plus, they'll usually have a battle regiment, so they can just ignore Bloodslate Ground entirely, because they'll go first and charge in, and they ignore Gift of Change on a 4-up. So Be'lakor's list does nothing to them. Gargants don't do enough damage to kill them. Nagash can Hand of Dust maybe one per turn if they don't roll the 4-up, right? Like, the dragons pushed out all the garbage lists that people hate playing against. But now people hate playing against Drakes. So it is what it is. Pick your poison. I think the counters to Drakes are a lot more interesting than the things that Drakes counter, right? So if the meta is going to evolve to counter Drakes, I would rather play that game than play the Lumineth, Seraphon, Daughters of Cain, everybody shooting each other constantly meta.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I think that's the thing with Lumineth. I mean, Lumineth, I don't know what to do because that's a very high skill army, so I don't know what they switch to. But I think armies like Seraphon and like Nagash, like you said, they might have to actually switch up their list now and worry about Drakes being a thing.
Oh, it's
like,
it's
I think they've relied
too
far. Yeah, they've relied too far on like I'm going to run my battle regiment with 50 archers or 15 bow snakes and win, I don't know, 4-1, 5-0. And I think that's not going to work. I think they have to be innovative.
I think
how would Daughters of Cain then counter the Drake list?
Give them the old battle tome and give them Witch Elves again. That's how they do it.
No, I think they have a good game against Drake,
right? I think the Spear Snakes will do pretty well against dragons because you just put some disposable screens in the way, they waste their turn charging you, and then you just kill them back with the Immortal Wounds from the Spear Snakes.
Or you can tag several Drakes with Marathi and just hold for 2 turns and shoot them down.
Yeah, I think Daughters can. These armies that were like the things these armies were doing don't work against Drakes, but those armies also have other things they can be doing. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. But one thing I definitely wanted to talk about is I was expecting Kragnos to make a bigger impact. Did you guys see any Kragnos at the event?
There was one Kragnos, I think.
There were several, I think, yeah.
I think there might have been several. I only saw one. He was running, I think, a bunch of Frost Lords or whatever with the Kragnos, and just that's how one of my friends, Steve Tacek, he lost to he's an Ironjawz player. He was playing Maw Crusher and a bunch of pigs. And the Kragnos guy just charged in, rolled like 15 or 16.
15-inch charge, no big deal.
Yeah, and just all the mortal wounds from the charge, just deleted the pigs, piled in, killed the Maw Crusher, So
I would point out with the Kragnos, we still have a model, and he can fit actually in giant lists very well. So you take 2 Mega Gargants, you take Kragi, and you take 1 small Gargant, Man-Eater, or no, he's a Man Crusher.
Yeah.
Could be very interesting, but the very interesting list would be with Cruel Boys. You take him,
really?
And actually he performed very well on a tournament. I think he went 3-2. He lost to our guy Lionel from X Planet. Oh, actually, no, he won the game. Yeah, sorry, yeah. And Lionel could get to the top 8. And the thing is that so what you do, you have many bold boys from BTL, so it's 27 range, and Craggy is just in front of you, just like bothering you in front. So that list, it's not that I would say that it's tournament winning if you compare it to Limit City or something, but it's very interesting list, and it can win very surprising games and can cause lots of pain. We will see a similar list tomorrow at RTT by Carl. And and it should be very interesting.
What's Carl, he running? Ironjawz?
He's a Cruel Boys with 18 bolts, and I think that Carl is one of the best persons who create very, very unique lists.
Oh yeah, and, I always love playing against Carl. Back when Skaven came out, he jumped on that Thankwell bandwagon real quick. I love playing against those lists.
Yeah,
Carl.
Yes, that's correct. Okay. Yeah, so he's running that tomorrow, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think Craggy with Cruel Boys can work for sure.
Cool. Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that because I was disappointed. I thought he was going to be more popular, and looking at the events that happened this last weekend, he's not really making a splash, and I think that's a mistake. I think people are sleeping on him because what does Kragnos do to a Drake meta? Just think about that, right? Think about what Kragnos does to Storm Drakes. It's so brutal. And 2-up save, dragons aren't punching through that. You need so many breaths to go very well, and I don't know. It seems favored for Gragnos to just kill all the drakes. So I'm hoping he makes a splash. Is there anything else?
We'll see. We have tomorrow. I think it's 20-man event or 20 something. I don't remember, but we have at least I think 5 lists with Kragus tomorrow.
Is it the is that the event at Torchlight, the AOS Masters?
No, it's
oh right, yeah, you mentioned that. Sorry, when is that? Okay, we'll talk about that
tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll swing by. Yeah, because I
sure.
I'm not that far away.
Yes.
Okay.
Beer from me then.
I'll buy you a beer if I see you for sure, man. Definitely.
No, beer from me.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that wraps up the live stream pretty much, but there was an announcement I wanted to make, and that is that we are officially sponsored. The Stormkeep is now officially sponsored by Torchlight Games and Hobbies. That's James and I's local store. And Lavon, I think you're close enough that you might be.
We're 5 minutes drive. Yeah. Well, actually, my parents and Yuri's there, and I hopefully I will move there too in by the end of the year. Let's see.
I live down the street from it, man. We could just play games all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's it. Yeah. Let's do it. Yeah.
Awesome. There you go. See, now we have a Soulblight player for the battle reports. We're all set.
There you
go. So, we're still working out exactly what this is going to mean for us. I think we made like a deal on Wednesday. So this is all pretty fresh. But basically what we hope to do with this is more painting contests more frequently and with better prizes. Because our Night Relictor painting contest was really fun and everybody's been hounding us to start another one. So we're going to. And the prize support will be even better than it was before. They're offering a coupon code, so if you guys want to order stuff from them, they're going to get a small discount. And this will allow us to also start covering content for other factions at the same level that we do for Stormcast. Because this is something we've talked about internally for a little while, is like, okay, well, eventually we're going to discuss everything there is to discuss with Stormcast. There will be nothing left to talk about. And we have other armies that we're also interested in. I'm constantly saying that I'm actually not a Stormcast player, I'm a Seraphon player. And I would like to do some content about Seraphon once, they become relevant again. They get a new book or a new release or something.
Relevant? I think they're a top army in the game.
They're very strong, but
they're broken strong.
They are very, very good.
Very strong.
I can't believe Salamanders haven't been just
obliterated. How stronger? Oh my god.
Yeah. So
they haven't sold enough Salamanders.
My Seraphon. I love them. I've been playing them for a long time. But when you're painting thousands and thousands of points of Stormcast, and they get a new edition and they get a new book, it's hard not to talk about Stormcast. So we're still going to keep making Stormcast videos. We love the army. There's still a lot to talk about. We just also want to talk about other things as needed. And then maybe we also bring on some other people who might want to talk passionately about their army. Maybe we start a website and start compiling all this information together instead of just having this hosted on YouTube. Maybe we have like some written stuff. So we're ironing all that out, and there's more info to come about that. So stay tuned.
Amazing.
And the last thing here is our next painting contest starts right now. Like right this second. I'm going to go into Discord and make the channel public. But basically,
you guys do you mind if I promote my channel too?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah.
So we do battle reports for about a year now, and I think we have a pretty much more or less good reviews. So check us out too. My brother Yuri was chatting here as a Bulldog Hammer, so you can just click there and find our channel. And thank you so much for inviting me to your podcast. You guys are great. And I already subscribed, and very happy that Paul, you're back in gaming arena, and looking forward to see you guys soon.
Definitely, especially if you live this close, man. I don't know why we didn't do this sooner.
Can you imagine?
Okay,
guys.
All right.
Ciao.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Good night.